Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am hard to kill. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Pocket Jack Comics, who have books like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily. And you can find their comics at pocketjackcomics.com. And my good friend Preston runs Pocket Jack Comics, has a book on Kickstarter, Palace of the Golden Princess. A lot of cool stuff's in there. It is D&D, and it is both versions of D&D. So there is something for you and everybody else who wants it, and it's a beautiful, artistically well done book. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator Fred Schwartz. So welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited. We're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. So obviously you got Fisticuffs currently funding on Kickstarter, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I figured I'd allow you to introduce who you are, because there's people who know who you are. There's people who don't know who you are. So I kind of want to just give you a chance to get everybody up to speed on who you are before we dive into everything you've done and Fisticuffs.
Absolutely. My name is Fred Schwartz. I'm a writer and comic creator from Lake Helen, Florida now, originally from Hamilton, New Jersey. I am 42, about to be 43 very soon. And I am a comic creator, as Andrew said, and I have put together my baby, my heart project, Fisticuffs, which is live on Kickstarter right now. And we're going to get to it, as Andrew said, and I hope you're all going to check it out, because we are close to a bunch of little milestones right now. Almost at $2,000, almost at full funding, and almost at 50 backers. So I hope we can get there today, because if we do, if we cross any of those milestones, I am going to chop off a piece of my sock and put it in a Topps trading card and send it to Andrew so he can have it, to cherish and sell on eBay eventually.
So for those who don't know, I spoke about this before, but I was actually going to make a video eventually when something else comes that I'm not going to mention. But this is the card. So for those who don't know, I have a limited 5 John Cena sock relic from the Netflix, where the socks he was wearing were put into cards, and completely random. PAX bought it. It was essentially a drop, and super rare. There was a bunch of those that were made in the base, and basically what happens is that they take a randomly inserted into it, but not the card. The card wasn't even made when they inserted. They inserted a piece of paper that you redeem, and then it takes about 20 weeks for you to get it. So I have a bunch of stuff like that, and I was gonna make a WWE video for my other channel, Big Boy Card Collecting, but obviously that and I'm gonna go way more into it, show all the stuff, show all the cool stuff I have, because I got a lot of cool stuff to do. But enough about that, because that's not what this is about. Let's get into Fisticuffs, because
Sure.
What is the basic concept of Fisticuffs? Because you're on book 3 now.
Yes, we are.
And you're in the middle of the series.
Yes.
So why don't we start there before we get into where the story has progressed? Because it's getting a little pop culture-y, if I may say.
It is. So Fisticuffs is about, it's a very character-driven story, very personal, kind of in the tradition of James O'Barr's The Crow. In terms of sensibilities, it's very much like The Boys and Preacher, and that kind of hardcore, hard-edged content. Fisticuffs itself is about a functional drunk whose comfortable life derails when a one-night stand has deadly consequences. In book 1 and 2, we experience this catastrophic event and the fallout from it. And then, as Andrew pointed out, book 3, we're going to stick around with the characters a little bit more and see how this journey, this realization unfolds. And we're going to see what happens when we take a character that can't do anything without 10 to 12 beers in him, and throw him into the realm of vigilantism and see how that plays out.
Yeah, so let's get into this a little bit. Let's break it down a little bit, because obviously you got a character who, I don't want to say he's dislikable, because I don't really dislike Nick as a character, but I don't love Nick either as a character. It's just that he's exists. But I'm sympathetic to him as a character and his struggles. I mean, I think that's like the best way I can describe it. But it's interesting, because what is that like, before we even get into all the vigilante stuff and how his life derails. I mean, it's interesting when you write characters that you know are going to have sympathetic components to them, but I wouldn't want to hang out with Nick, if that makes sense.
No, you wouldn't. You would not. And it's uncomfortable how much of Nick is like me in my 20s. I remember one time that I very nice girl, that I used to work with. One day, my friends and I were talking, and they asked her to describe me in a word right in front of me. And she's like, well, he's nice, but the word I would use is abrasive. And, I was abrasive, but I in turn took that abrasive criticism and then became even more abrasive. So Nick is, a very unlikable character. I like to describe him as like a guy that thinks he's like Slim Shady or Alex DeLarge, but doesn't realize he's more like closer in character to George Costanza. And I think that's a really interesting way to put him. And I'm glad that you pick up on that too, because it's not that he's a bad guy. Like I don't find him malicious. I find him misguided. And I had a really great conversation the other day. I was actually, dropping off some promotional materials. I'm going to do a little plug here. I was dropping some promotional materials to a comic shop called Defender Comics, where I'm going to be doing a signing this Saturday. And I was talking to Teresa behind the register, who, like, friendly, super nerdy, super awesome. If you guys stop in, get a chance, it'll be awesome time. But we were talking about Peacemaker, one of my favorite shows. And the thing I like about Peacemaker and why I'm sympathetic to him is that he just got the lessons too late in life. Some people are like that, right? Like it reminds me of another one of my favorite movies, and I'm sure you're aware of, Moneyball, where they talk about, we all get the call to grow up sometime. Some of us when we're 8, some of us when we're 80, but we all get the call. Nick's just somebody that hasn't gotten the call yet, and he hasn't had the influence yet to kind of, or even really the responsibility foisted on him that he has to. He lives a very comfortable life, and this issue we start to see how that goes. And one of the things that I like about the story is that Nick is court ordered to be in AA meetings, right? And there's a lot of really nice morsels of intellect that are dropped at these meetings that if he would just open his ears and pay attention, they'd be like pretty, like applicable to his life. And we get a good few of those here. But one of the things that that I remember, from being in meetings and visiting them, is they used to talk about how like half measures avail us nothing. Right. You can't succeed at something, with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You have to, that's who successful people are, right? Athletes, artists, whoever, they're the people that give their all to it, right? In this issue, he does not give his all. And we're going to go on a fun, fantastic journey when what happens when you kind of try to toe dip and you have his shitty disposition.
So let's get into this a little bit, because obviously he has a one-night stand, and it opens up pretty much hell. Like, let's just call it what it is. Let's just no chaser tonight.
Do you want to? I mean, do you want to throw out like a some kind of like spoilery, like spoilers may come. I mean, we don't have to get like super spoilery, but just let people know that like we're going to talk kind of frankly about.
What were you saying?
No, I was going to say, like we can, like, just let anybody know, like, if they're listening, we're going to talk about it kind of vaguely, but like we're going to try to avoid spoilers. But you may sacrifice some of the. Fisticuffs is best enjoyed cold.
I will try to speak in as much code as I could speak in.
And I'll do the same.
The great Penn and Teller speaking code, letting a magician know they know how they did it. And so I will speak in as much code as I possibly can. But obviously, we're going to talk about major themes here with what's going on. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that, like, he's facing his inner demons in certain ways, but he opens up hell. And obviously, if you have 12 to 24 beers in you and you had a interesting one-night stand, you might not be seeing things the right way. I mean, I'm being very open and honest. And then, it also might be that maybe there's some other shit going on, and maybe it's just a self-reflection too that's going on. But like, this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because this is where the story to me is that it's a very narrow story, where this is not like a 5-year story. I mean, this is legitimately like 16 hours, which is kind of crazy. I mean, that I think, right? I'm not missing that, right?
To this point, it does go on a bit. It doesn't go on 16 years or so. It is a very contained story, and
I mean,
in this
16
stage of
hours,
Nick's life.
like
But
16
so
hours.
far, it is. Yes, it is. Well, actually, no, that's not true. In book 2, he does separate from Kyle for a few weeks, so they give it. You're talking about the issue 1, and then the beginning of issue 2. Yes, that is very much 16 hours. His whole life changes, and that's kind of the point, right? Like, that's that catastrophic event that we're talking about is meant to be allegory for a lot of stuff that people do, when they're drinking, right? Very rarely do people get in the DUIs when they're like 36 beers deep because they can't even get the key in the ignition, right? It's usually that like little bit extra that, you weren't, it's that little bit of whatever that leads to the catastrophe. I remember, Morgan Freeman of all people was talking about how when planes go down, it's normally a series of events, right? So what that is really about is just a guy that's like making decisions just a little too loosely, right? He even if you read that issue closely, like when he's asked to do something adventurous, his guttural instinct is no. He's like, nope, that's not me. I am not going to do that. But he's like loose enough that he's talked into it, and he's loose enough that whatever. And that's kind of the interesting thing about books 1 and 2 versus book 3 is Nick is not making choices. Like, he's being completely led through 1 and 2 and the beginning of 3. He's not an active protagonist, right? Like, he's very much like asking people, like, what do I do? Like, I mean, that scene with Kyle is kind of crucial where this is a very adult situation. And he's like, and again, very alcoholic, right? Like alcoholic-y, right? Like the idea of an enabler, like somebody being like, hey, we can do this. And his motivation for that is kind of interesting too, is that I find, right, is that, it's it's somebody he knows, it's somebody he loves, it's somebody that he cares about, and somebody that, like you picked up on, that he knows is at his core not a bad guy. And I think the reason why Kyle is willing to stick himself out there in that kind of crazy way is that he sees something malleable in Nick that maybe he can make him into this vigilante that he thinks he can be. And unfortunately, at this stage of the story,
it gets interesting, right? Because now what we're dealing with is that it's this whole. I mean, we can look at this on a multiple levels, right? We can look at it from. I mean, you could read it on 10 different ways, and at least I think you can. And you could read it that somebody's just giving somebody alcohol and they want them to do something. You could read it as if somebody's manipulating somebody to do something. Also, it could be an evolutionary position, or it could just be that, hey, here's a beer, here's some liquid courage. Now go fight some crime. I mean, it could be all 4 of those things at once. It could be none of those things. It could be parts of those things. And so it's really interesting when we start getting into this whole concept, because it's also the idea that, do you need 6 beers to go be a vigilante and do some good in your fucked up problem? And it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of like, do you need a drug to be a superhero? Right? It raises that question to some degree. And because does your vigilantism outweigh the fact that you are a drunk and you've done nothing and it's a road of redemption, even though you're doing something bad on the road to redemption? I mean, this is just, and so it's really interesting when we start getting into the philosophy of this.
Thank you. Yeah. And again, it's very much about kind of like, how he is willing to like perceive life, right? Because, he says like very early on, it's like, I'm comfortable, right? Like he does not want, like the character of Nick does not, he wants to live a low stakes life, like, and there are some people that, are like, that's the goal. Like they will work harder to avoid responsibility, if that makes sense. You know, like they don't want to, you know, they'll try to, and again, that's a very addict thing too, right? Is like, you know, I remember when full disclosure, I'm, you know, coming up this year, 10 years sober in December. But, you know, I was an alcoholic, and I worked very hard to maintain my addiction, you know, like to, you know, count the number of beers you can have, you know, so you can sleep tonight and wake up the next morning and go to work and, you know, and whatever. So it's a Faustian bargain that we make with ourselves. And it's a very kind of like, you know, crazy conundrum that we see this kind of character go through over the course of the story.
I think it's interesting. So I'm incredibly lazy, but I work really hard to be really lazy, and I want to work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
So that's how I view it, right? In
yes.
which that it's I want to work, but I don't think I have any addiction problems. I have plenty of problems. I mean, there's a reason that I enjoy my alcoholic beverages, but you know, I really only drink on a Thursday and Friday, and I usually have like 2 shots of rum on my Thursday and 2 shots of rum on my Friday, which is not bad.
You can regulate that. I could not.
No. But I work really hard because I watch, you know, I'm drinking a beer during, you know, Thursday night football. It's a way to unwind during my weekend, take the edge off. But I don't want to drink every night. That's a horrible idea. I got responsibilities. You know, you think anime is going to watch itself?
Well, that's the funny thing about, like, you know, I remember when I was a boozer, I would be like, well, I cannot wait to get home tonight and drink and just watch a movie. And I would start drinking, and I would be on a pace, and I'd wake up the next morning and I'd be like, what the fuck happened for the last half of that movie? Because I would drink myself right out of coherence. So I would have to go back the next morning when I was sober and finish the movie that I started while getting drunk. So I don't think it was a long time before I would like see a movie, you know, straight through. It was a weird, bizarre way to live.
That was how last week was for me with COVID. It was terrible. And I didn't have any alcohol, and I haven't had any alcohol in like 2 weeks. But like I would be watching like a YouTube crime video, and then I would just crash out. I'm like, how did that person get caught? Like, then I have to watch it the next morning. I'm like, I remember the first half of this, and then I like completely just like blacked out of pure exhaustion. And then I'm like, how the hell did this person get caught? Like, you got to rewatch. Oh, it's so I understand exactly your circumstance.
I've been doing that this week with the Kickstarter active. I've been doing that with like exhaustion. Like I start watching stuff and I fall asleep, because the one thing they don't prepare you for with Kickstarter is you don't sleep well the entire campaign. Every time you wake up, you refresh, and you know it triggers a reaction, and either you're like, you know, your nervous system is like, yes, got a bit, and you can't get back to sleep, or it's like, what's wrong?
We're going to talk about that too, because there's a lot to talk about.
Sure.
We're going to try to be as much of an adult and have an adult conversation, and not try to get too political on that topic, because it is economics in certain ways. So we're going to try to have an adult conversation.
Oh no, I know. I'm not worried about that. It'll work out and stuff. Like that's I approach these things like I don't try to.
Get back to the story,
I don't try to second guess. Okay, yeah.
That's why I'm tabling it, because I want to get back to the story, because obviously book 3, I mean, Nick is kind of fighting cosplayers and other potential criminals. They may not be criminals. I'm not exactly sure what the hell's going on per se, but obviously this is where we're going with this story, is now he's out and about in this world kind of fighting crime. I want to say, because I kind of say kind of, because I'm not exactly sure if it's real crime. And I'm still not even sure if this is all real, to be exact, either.
Well, I can tell you it's real. It's not. It's
okay.
Not. I will never Saint Elsewhere an audience. Like, I'll never do that. Like, it was all in the snow globe in their brain. Like, no, man. Like that. There's
so it's
nothing,
not lost. So it's not lost.
There's nothing I resent more than a story with no stakes and a story that's all nonsense. Like,
what do you mean? Lost had real stakes in it, but we didn't know if it was all imaginary or if it was all, you know, in purgatory. Lost was very confusing.
Well, okay. So you want me to get really? I can explain Lost to you if you want, like really succinctly what happened.
This is my understanding of Lost, right?
Yeah.
I think Hurley is in a mental institution staring in the eyes of Livy. That's what I think Lost is all about. And I think he's having a mental breakdown in the mental institution, and the whole thing's in his head. That's my interpretation of Lost.
What Lost was an idea for like 2 interesting seasons of TV, maybe 3, about a bunch of people stuck in purgatory. And then it got successful, and the network wanted them to keep going, and the internet figured it out. So they had to keep calling audibles until nothing was left that made sense. So all they did in the finale, and they did it well, was like trigger some emotional responses from the characters you like. That moment where what's his name and what's her name kiss, and they, suddenly like, that's, you connect to that because of the emotional thing, even though the plot has gone to complete shit. So it's just human error is what happened to Lost. It was probably intended to be a pretty good show if they did like 2 or 3 seasons, but it got blown up.
My understanding of the production of Lost was that it was 24 episodes, and it was great. The first season was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then they said, fuck, we're out of ideas.
Yeah. I gave them the benefit of 2 to 3 seasons, but yeah, that's what I mean. It was one really good idea, and the internet figured it out, and the network wanted more, and it just got overblown, I think.
But that's my understanding. That's the only way I can conceptually understand Lost, is that I think it's Hurley and Livy in a mental institution sitting across trying to play checkers, and they're looking into each other's eyes, basically tell the story in their eyes with each other. Because there's that one thing where you have that one episode where they're in the mental institution and they're both like looking like they both had a lobotomy. And that's the whole thing. And that's the only rational explanation of Lost I can come up with.
I really hope it was not, but it's gone now. And it's a shame too, because when it came out, it had such like, you thought Lost was going to be like MASH, like one of the great TV shows in history. And now it's just kind of something you occasionally see on Hulu and you're like, oh, I remember that. And you just keep going. Like it's
a perfect Netflix binge watch when you're doing social media posts. It's perfect.
I think it's too long to binge. It's like 6, 7 seasons. A binge is like a good 2 to 3 seasons.
but this is what happens on this show. We get into a tangent, but a literary tangent.
I do this a lot, yeah.
But so getting back to the story, because this is where it gets interesting now, though, is now we have a person now fighting crime, and it's a redemptional position. But like, there's a lot of questions, I guess, and there's a lot of philosophical questions that now are occurring, because I don't think Nick is still drinking, but now there's like functionality, right, in society, and then you're doing. I mean, I wouldn't say vigilantism is good, but it's not bad either. It's gray, and this is
it's also set up that this is a world where this is normal, right? Like it's they mentioned that in the beginning about the Infernal Warrior in Brooklyn, and like so it's not like he's going out in our world and fighting crime, but it's a little bit more reasonable. Like it's the equivalent of like a Marvel Universe type thing, right? It's not like a crazy leap that one would take in like Casablanca's world.
Mm-hmm. But it's still some elements of gray, because you're now entering this whole position, but you're also not necessarily fully redeemed. Like that's what's so interesting about this whole thing, and how that's unfolding, because to want to do it too, and the reasons behind it, and the influences, and why Nick's doing it, and what's influencing Nick, like, and that's where this gets really fascinating as a story, because there's questions, right? And it's meant to invoke questions.
Yes, and thank you, because you're picking up on a lot of stuff that is in 3 and explained, and like the reasons why. And I think it's really interesting and like unique to the character, right? It's again, it's not an adult perspective, right? It's not like somebody. It's his motivations are still very. It's a weird thing. It's a weird balance of like motivation, intention, and like actuality. It's like if if somebody actually were to like take a minute and like talk to him, right? Like if they actually, if he actually had like an adult, be like, what would you, and ask him, like, what do you hope to achieve? It's kind of a crazy thing because, like, I don't think he really has a mission statement. He just has this, like, I should do this, right? This, like, it's the right thing to do. So the intent is there, right? The intent to do good. But the interesting thing about Nick is that he's like, I was just watching a movie the other day, so this analogy's in my head. He's like 90% enriched uranium. Okay, he's volatile, right? And especially more so with the powers, right? That's why I did the powers, right? The way I did, because I blame Stan Lee for this element of the powers, because I remember Stan Lee used to talk about how every blessing should be a curse, every power should have a thing, and Cyclops, was the example that he used about how, like, even though it's a great power, he can't see normally and whatnot. He has to wear the glasses. So the idea behind Nick, somebody that just wants to, the best thing in the world for him is when that AA meeting ends at 7 p.m. on Friday, because he's got his last one in and he's got, like, as he puts it, like a weekend of freedom to just go get drunk, right? So the worst thing that can happen to him is to not be able to get shitty and irresponsible. So to have this, superpower that, like, you can't make a fist, because if you're, if you do, you'll either burn somebody, out yourself as a superhero, like, and so much could go wrong. It's like he has to be present at all times, which is something that he not only is not used to, but it's something that he absolutely doesn't want to do. It's like the worst fate imaginable for him to be, like, on, or, have to, be. So it's this really interesting thing, because you're going to put him in this environment where he's already unstable. And how's it going to be when he, starts bouncing up against other forces, and how will the powers play? We don't know. And that's the fun part about 3 is, like, I can't wait to share it with you guys to show you exactly how it does play out, because it is, as much as I love to think that, issues 1 and 2 are pretty unconventional, this one is very unconventional as well. And I've been telling people in a lot of ways, it's my favorite.
It's interesting that we bring this up, because I haven't had alcohol in 2.5 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And my brain is thinking differently, right? Where when I drink, it slows down my brain. And the reason why I want to have, my rum and Coke or my rum and Dr. Pepper and watch my Thursday night is that it slows my brain down from going 140 miles an hour to 80. Mm-hmm. And it's not a good thing, a bad thing. It's just what it does, right? But because I am now going at like 9,000 miles for the last 2.5 weeks, and I'm probably not going to pick up, I might continue to do it because right now I'm thinking in a certain way, and I'm consuming more information than I've ever consumed, because this is the first time I haven't drunk in almost like 3 weeks, right? Not like every day, before everybody starts asking, but your brain starts acting differently if you haven't had alcohol and then you start drinking a lot, or vice versa. And so it's probably really interesting, because there's lack of suppression and suppression going on at the same time on a psychological and scientific level, I would imagine. And so like that, and I'm not the expert on this by any stretch of the imagination, but just on a logical level. And so like, that's what's also really interesting too, is that you now have somebody who is used to lifestyle A, and now they're in lifestyle B. And if they go back to lifestyle A, they're going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get right to the chase.
And they're trying to get into lifestyle B, but they are not willing to just they're not willing to cut the cord with lifestyle A. They're trying to bring lifestyle A along for the ride, and it's not going to work. Is, the conflict that he has to face is how that plays out. So, and I'm not an expert on alcohol either, man. I can only talk from my experience, but I can tell you that part of one of the major reasons that I did drink the way I did for so long was to rewire my brain. I was and am bipolar, and I did not take medicine then, because of all things. I thought that would mess up my creativity. I thought that I needed to be, whatever. And I, it sucks, because I remember the Joker movie really rubbed me the wrong way, because the Joaquin Phoenix one, because to me, it reinforced the message that I lived with in my 20s, was that I'm going to go through depressive lows. But eventually, I used to call it the sunny side of bipolar. It's not sunny. It's mania, it's hypomania. But I used to be, I used to be like, well, I'll go through this because one day I'll be on and it'll balance out. And that's not the way to do it. So really what I was doing with the alcohol was like, using it to control my personality and like, or not my personality, but control my mental health. I was self-medicating in a way. And once, I don't want to get too spoilery into like, my life, but, once I bottomed out and eventually did get, medication and stuff, it like you said, it didn't rewire my brain. It kind of freed up my brain to the stuff that was like already there. It almost became like, I was afraid I would lose my identity because young Fred's identity was Fred the drinker. I was either, if I had a bad day, I was Rick at the bar, like of all the gin joints in all the world. And if I had a good day, God forbid, I was Stone Cold Steve Austin, like clanging beers and celebrating. So there was like never a reason not to drink, right? No matter what. And I didn't want to like, lose that identity. In some ways, I think maybe I thought it was an edge, but like I am the farthest thing from edge, but whatever. Anyway, eventually when I got some time away and I got a little medication and a little whatever, like I became more of me. I use the term like, mental health, right? Like it doesn't fix you, right? Like taking a medicine, right? Like it doesn't make you all better. It's not a happy pill, right? But it's like, I use the analogy of like an old boombox, right? Like, like a graphic equalizer. Most people start with their like, like their levels about here, right? I started here. The medication just brings me to about here where I'm like, it doesn't, fix me. It doesn't make me where everybody else is. It's not meant to. It takes away some of the stuff that I, was overcompensating for. And it takes away the alcohol. And it in turn made me more Fred, more into comics, more into writing, more into, a bunch of interests that I didn't have prior to that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to like advocate for anybody or sell you. I'm not a preachy person. You're going to have to find your own way to, because certainly.
It's what it is that obviously I'm still sick, so I want to get better. But what I find is that, alcohol on a Friday night, or like if I have a beer when I'm watching Sunday football, it just mellows me out a little bit, right? It takes the edge off. So if I'm at a level 10, it brings me down to a level 7. But a beer, if a beer does that a week for you, then that's fantastic because it's cheaper than any other drug and it's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. For 90% of people, it's not going to kill you.
I don't even say there's a number, man. I don't think that I have like a number where I'm like, if you drink X amount of beers a day, you're this. I just think when you're like, it becomes your I don't think
it's going to change. Right?
Exactly. Once it becomes part of your, there's a line, and that's when it becomes too much.
But when I was at my local bar, and I used to go a lot on a Thursday, they're like, oh, Jack and Coke, right? Yeah. So it's like they know before I even open up my mouth that it's part of my identity because I'm a Coca-Cola guy, big fan of Coca-Cola, like Jack Daniels in general, just as like a brand. So that's like my drink. That's like my signature drink, right? So that's but that's not an alcohol identity.
No, for the record, I was a bartender. And when like somebody like you comes in and we're like, oh, Jack and Coke, we like you. It's like when somebody like me walks in and they roll their eyes and they're like, oh, passed out on the floor at midnight. That's the guy they don't want to come in. So like there's a, like you're perfectly fine. Jack and Coke, they're like, we love you. He's probably going to do well, Passed out on the floor, they're going to be like, you're going to have to fucking call him an Uber, like it's Again, I'm exaggerating. I was not really passed out on bar floors often, but
I don't ever want to be passed out. I've never been passed out in a bar. Doesn't sound like a good time.
I don't know if I have. I've been helped out of bars. I had one friend one time that was a champ, just faced the other way and held me standing up while I was peeing. Like, what a fucking champ. But yeah, no, bar floors are not where you want to be.
I mean, I've witnessed the bar fight, and I just got the hell out. I just ran, and I said, "We're just leaving now." And we
want to hear a crazy tangent? Want to hear a crazy tangent? I was at a wrestling event the other day, It was a wrestling event in a mall, and I was sitting on the ground, and these two guys were like right next to me, and they almost got into a fight with one of the wrestlers. They were like mouthing off to each other, and like I thought I was gonna crazy, like crazy. But I
had a wrestler who knew who I was, right?
Hmm?
And so what he did is that he comes out and like his whole thing is like it's like Candino or something. I forgot his name, but he comes out with Monopoly money. So he just throws it in my face, and then he knew he didn't know me well enough, but he knew that like I knew half the people in the back, and then they were all like, just throw the money in his face because his reaction on camera is going to be perfect. And so the whole thing was perfect. And like, okay, I knew the second it happened, and like, and then my friend who was running the event kind of or was helping out came and was like, what did you do to him, man? Like I don't know, I thought you did. Like, oh, it was great. But like so the people were, it was the same event where Nyla Rose was in the audience, not as a because it was an event in DC and she lives in DC, so she was in the audience just as a fan. And so like I was speaking to her during halftime, and like not halftime, but like at the midpoint of the show.
Yeah.
Crazy. But the point is that like it's a really cool, like this is happening.
Is Nyla Rose, is she an owner of AEW? I swear I saw online the other day.
So Nyla Rose, she was a little bit on the indies, right? And obviously she's not technically actually the first trans woman champion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can say that. I mean, it's a fact. So Mariah Moreno was actually, but Nyla Rose was the first one on a national broadcast. I don't think this is offensive, and hopefully, I don't think anybody thinks it's offensive. And if it is, well, it's not trying to be. But so Nyla Rose is not an owner, but she was the first trans woman to win a title on national TV.
Yeah, I knew that, but I thought I saw online the other day like a picture of like the founders. It was it was like Omega, Cody, the Bucks, and her. And I thought maybe that the implication was she was one of the founders.
I know. I don't think she was. I think it was the Young Bucks, Cody, Kenny, and then Chris Daniels, Kazarian were there early. So Chris Daniels was for a while, I think, head of talent. And QT Marshall was early on involved.
Did you ever read Chris Daniels' comic? I've never read it, but I heard that him and Kazarian put out a comic book.
How do you think I got both of them on my show?
Yeah. You have to send me a copy. You have one?
Yeah. So what it was is that was my local comic shop.
Really?
Oh yeah, Comics. It was my local comic shop.
I didn't know you go to Oh Yeah. I've seen Oh Yeah. Okay, there's a really great documentary that I'm going to plug right now for people to watch. It's called Comic Shop Country. Really great. And the guy from Oh Yeah is on there. He seems like an awesome guy. Seems like a great job.
There's three. Is it Art, Mark, or Franco?
I don't know their names off the top of my head. It was a bigger gentleman who does a podcast, and he does like, there was a really nice thing where like, I think, I guess he does like Oh Yeah for kids or something, and the kids drew him a comic for his birthday. It was really cool. So
Mark, it is a little bit bigger, but Mark has short hair like mine, and his hair is like orange. And Mark has tattoos. He has the Infinity Gauntlet on his arm. So I don't think it was Mark. Franco has like a goatee and black hair.
I think that might have been him.
And then Art Belzer is another artist who I don't know how to describe art, but you would know it's art. So I think it's Franco, probably.
Yeah, he seems like just like a great like builder of like a comic community. Like he seems like a really cool shop owner.
Yeah. They're all great. Like every time I go into Mark's store, I'm like, hey, how are you? Always nice to him. Great. I've never met Art. I just never met Art. I've met Franco. Because they're in like Westchester Harrison, and I used to live in Yorktown, which is like 20 miles away. So very much a local comic store. But like that's the whole thing that's so interesting is that it's probably Franco, but Franco's great. But like the reason how I got Kazarian and Daniels on my show is that their emails were in the back of the book.
Really?
It's crazy. It's the same reason how I got Matt Hawkins on my show. His email's in the book.
I almost got MJF to be in a movie that way. I was trying to make a movie before COVID happened, and I just saw MJF on AEW for the first time, and I went on his and I was like, this kid's got charisma, man. He's going to be a star. So, he's Long Island, and I looked on his X, and he just had I think it was just book MJF, and I emailed him, and I'm like, hey, I don't know who this is, and he messaged me back himself. And I was disappointed because I thought he was going to be a heel. No, you stupid Mark. I'm better than that and better than you. But he was really sweet about it. And he was at one point was taking the script to AEW to do it. And then we were going to shoot, I think in April or May that year. But that was when COVID happened and we shut it down. I never connected again.
It's crazy, which that people's emails are really easy to find. And it's crazy, right? I didn't think Chris D'Angelo's would have said yes.
Right?
Why would you think that shit? I just said, fuck it. I'm going to go for it. And look at what the fuck happened. Holy shit, right? I mean, this is how it works, though, is that all of a sudden, a lot of people, John Cena said it best, right? He said, you know the story about the Barbie movie, right?
About the
Barbie movie with John Cena.
What about the story? I don't know if I might have heard this one, but go ahead and tell it anyway.
I'll ask you this. Do you think that it was good or bad for John Cena to be in the Barbie movie?
I don't think at this point in time there's anything. I'm of the mindset that John Cena can do whatever he wants.
Brilliant. I think it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And what John Cena said is he said, no.
Well, it grows his audience.
Who doesn't want to see John Cena in the Barbie movie? It's the movie did $1 billion. You're with Dua Lipa. What was his if he was a mermaid, Dua Lipa's the mermaid. They were just in another movie together. It was great. It was brilliant, right?
What do you say? He was going to say no opportunity.
What he said is no opportunity is beneath me.
Yeah.
And so this is where it goes, is that shoot somebody a message, see what the fuck happens. Because somebody say, what is no opportunity is beneath me. And this is all I got. All these guests. We
clearly nobody's beneath you because you have me on. So you
No. All jokes aside, though, and the point I'm making, and I think it's really important, is that when you don't know a big celebrity might say, you know what is? I got nothing going on. Nobody's asked me in a while. Why the fuck wouldn't I want to come on? Mm-hmm. I haven't done an interview, and nobody's asking me. And people I was speaking to somebody maybe 6 months ago, and they're like, nobody fucking asks me for an interview. I'm like, you have 400,000 followers on Instagram. What the fuck? How does nobody ask you for shit?
It's like the pretty girl that doesn't have a date for prom. Everybody's like, oh, they're too good for me.
So and then you come to find out that these people are just normal people.
Yeah.
That's it, right? That's it. And this is how you do it. But I digress. But that's what John Cena said. He said, no opportunities beneath me. And it goes a long way. And I'm not saying you get to have, you can't just reach out to John Cena to be on your podcast. But there's plenty of people that you can, and you can get access to them, and their emails aren't hard to find. I mean, Matt Hawkins' email, who basically did Think Tank and was influential at Top Cow for a while, was his emails in his book. All you got to do is just shoot him a message. Chris Daniels and Kazarian, their email was right in the fucking book. I mean, I don't know if anybody fucking said, let me go read the interior of the book and read where the copyright is, because their email's right below there, or was. Or it was either in the front cover or the back cover of the book. But that says something, right? If nobody else thought about looking in the back of the goddamn fucking book for something, that means you're not reading a comic correctly.
I've always been of the mindset of not having I don't mean this in a bad way, but not having shame when trying to my mom was instilled that on me when if she wanted to do something, or she had no scruples about asking and getting told no or something like that. So whenever if the opportunities if I'm at a show or something and I see a celebrity that I will offer my comic or try to get a foot in the door that way. Worst case scenario, they toss your comic out. There's nothing. Shawn Michaels, another great one. Quote, nothing but air and opportunity, you know? But, you know, that's...
The worst thing somebody can do to me is say no.
Yeah.
That's it.
I've been told no a lot. You know, I was the other day. One of my
let me tell you what I'll tell a story that and then I want to get back into some Kickstarter stuff.
All right.
But one of the things that happened to me, and it's happened a lot more, is that I would reach out to a guest, they want to be paid, which I think is crazy. I mean, my position is that fuck that, right? I'm offering you free media. The exchange, as far as I'm concerned, is that you get a media opportunity. You come on my show for free, and then I pump out the thing, and it's a permanent billboard. That's my understanding of the exchange, right? You don't have to pay me. I don't pay you. I'm interviewing you. You're on my network with every other guest, and then you getting free media, right?
Right.
Here's what happens. Somebody says they want to be paid. I say, yeah, I don't think you're worth $100, right? So then that should just say, look, I don't pay guests. I'm sorry. Like, and because there's three reasons why. First off, if I had to pay guests, I'd be broke in a minute. There's no ability for me to recoup my money at the moment, right? That's one. Two, if I pay guest one, but guest two finds out, they're going to want to be paid. So everybody's going to want to be paid, and I can't pick and choose, right? And then three, you know, it's like, why would I pay a guest and incur expenses when I'm already paying for the streaming of this and every other thing that goes into it? This isn't free to stream. Now, what winds up happening, somebody wants to be paid. Then I say no. Then I circle back 2 years later, like, yeah, I'll come on for free. Because what happens is that they test the market of wanting to be paid, and nobody else is paying them, and then they want the media, and they come on for free.
You know what it probably is too? I bet you one person paid them, and they're like, "Oh, now I can get everybody to pay me."
That's part of it, and the other thing is that they're a guest at a con, and they think that a podcast and being a guest at a convention are the same thing when they're not. The podcast position, in many ways, is actually more influential than the con, because once it's out there, I cut it up into content, and then it's on YouTube, and it's in the algorithm, and it's a permanent advertisement for you. You're a guest at a con, it's a 4-day window at best.
Exactly.
And they get the prestige, and they want to feel prestigious. But guess what? You know what's fucking prestigious? When a fucking podcast interview has 100,000 views and 100,000 people know who the fuck you are. That's not prestigious anymore. That's just good business.
We have 100,000 right now? Hi, guys.
No. But I have interviews that have done like 1,000.
I'm kidding.
But over time, stuff does well, right? Yeah. So like that's the whole thing is that. So I agree that somebody probably paid them, and then secondly, they just are coming off of a con. But then what winds up happening is that then 2 years later, I reach back out to them like, yeah, I'll come on, and they don't even bring up the fact that they want to be paid because they tested the market and the market said no. Mm-hmm. Because the market doesn't pay guests all that often. But when I put this in a podcast group, it sparked 500 comments.
In what way? Did people agree with you or disagree, or was it split?
It was 60-40. It was 60-40.
In which way?
60-40 of not paying. And the people who wanted to pay said, oh, these people deserve. And I said, you have a podcast. And then I said, you pay your guests? And they said, no. They said, you want me to pay guests, but you won't follow your own advice.
Well, I think it depends on the platform too. Like, I would not like ask a host or expecting for money. You know, I just wouldn't. It's not in my character. But if somebody were to tell me like, hey, you know, on this show we pay you $100 or whatever, I would say, oh, thank you. I would take the $100. I wouldn't then turn around and expect that to be the norm, and I wouldn't expect it to be every case. Like, it should be, in my opinion, again, my humble nobody opinion, I would just take it as you should take those wins as a bonus instead of a status quo.
I don't charge, right?
Yeah.
For, you know, an online thing. Or now look, if somebody wanted me to come out to LA, you know, for something. So like, for instance, the Whatever podcast, not saying I'm going on that, right? But the deal would be that you got to cover my travel if you want me to come out there. Mm-hmm. I'm in Connecticut. But I'm not going to expect Brian Atlas to pay me. But just like you cover my hotel, cover my airfare. But I might say to Brian Atlas, look, I'm going out there for vacation anyway. You don't need to cover me. Just get me an Uber to your studio, right? Yeah. But if I was doing a podcast and for whatever reason I need to be traveled out there, that's great. But when I go to a convention, I'm doing a free panel. I want a free badge. But that I say, look, I'm doing a panel.
That's normal, right?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But most cons understand that, oh, cool, somebody's doing a panel for us. We'll give you a free badge. And that's why I do a panel, because now I have $40 extra to go spend at the con. It's a win-win for everybody because they know that I'm going to spend the money on the dealer's room.
Yes. Yes, you will. I do that too, man.
but that's my theory, right? But it's an understandable and it's a reasonable accommodation. But that's what happens. But it was 60-40, and man, people were tearing into the people who said, oh, these people deserve to be paid, because the people who were advocating for it, I understand their argument. The problem is that they are hosts and they don't pay their guests. So how can you tell me that I need to pay my guest when you wouldn't pay yours?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't throw bricks in glass houses is my point, right?
Yes.
So if you said, Andrew, you should pay every guest, and I have a podcast and I pay every guest, I have a harder time defeating your argument. But if you say, Andrew, you should pay every guest, but I have a podcast, I'm not going to pay any of my guests, you lose credibility. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I'm big on the, you don't get to, act as I say, not as I do type thing.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of the people were getting torn to pieces in that. It was brutal. It was 500 comments. It was bad. And then I got suspended in that group for a week.
God, what happens then? I mean, you just go back and you're like, hey guys, I had that kind of contemptuous, knock on wood.
Other people got suspended too for a week out of that group, but because apparently what wound up happening is that it touched the nerve. It touched the nerve with people on both sides. On both sides, it was really fascinating. I didn't expect it to have the reaction it did.
I think in general, everything is a case-by-case basis. It's who's the guest? What's the show? What's the reach? I don't know for sure, but I feel like...
I'll give some more context, too, because I said, look, this person has 12,000 Instagram followers. I just interviewed somebody who had 100,000. The person didn't want to be paid who had 100,000, and this person has 12,000 wants to be paid. What the fuck? To me, it's and it's also the way the person said it. Said, my guests really enjoy when I get interviewed, but I charge $100. And it was the way it was said, saying my fans enjoy when I get interviewed, and I charge $100.
They charge, yeah. See, that reeks of
kind of pretentious.
Yeah, I don't want entitlement a little bit,
It sounds like I needed a shower. I needed a shower after that conversation. That's what it looked like for me. But I digress. This is a big tangent. So,
okay.
In my experience is that whenever I pay for a guest, 99% of the time, it's bad. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I've tried it, and it doesn't work. Those guests are the worst because they want to do the least amount of work and be paid the most amount of money. So,
and what do they get? What do you mean? They just get paid to do what we're doing right now?
That's what they want. They want to be paid to promote their shit.
Oh, well. Again, I think it's a case-by-case basis, right? It depends. For me, here's a good example that you'll appreciate, right? I think it depends on what they're, what they get for their time in general, what it does for the show, and if you were making money off of it, what kind of money you make off of it. The point that I make is, I remember my mom, flipping out when I was watching the news and they were talking about Cliff Lee getting paid $20 million a year, for the Phillies. And I explained to her that the reason why Cliff Lee gets paid $20 million is because Cliff Lee is in himself a mini industry, right? He sells tickets, he pays for, people to make and sell jerseys, he pays for everything. So Cliff Lee brings in the money, so Cliff Lee gets the percentage that it balances out. There's a science to it. I don't know the science of it. I'm sure there is a formula and a sweet spot where somebody just necessitates it, but I don't know that stuff.
The argument I make is that this is how once the show actually makes money, and if I decide to do this, the only way it could work the same. Look, we could go one or two routes. You could get a percentage of what you bring in. So if all of a sudden I get super chats and I bring in $10,000 on super chats, I will give you 20% of that super chat. So, but there's no guarantee. So you can get 0, or you can get 20%, and it could be a huge number. Or I'll pay you $300.
Right.
But if I bring in 10,000, you get 300. So that's when you go into that.
It's the Bruce Willis Sixth Sense, deal,
so,
the percentage of the thing.
So you could get a percentage, and it could go X, or you could go A, or you could get a guarantee.
Right.
Meaning that we could do a guarantee that $500, and if I bring in 1,000, you get your 500, and that's all you get.
Yeah, like I said, I think it totally depends on the case. Like I would never expect you to say, like, if you wanted to come on the show, I would never expect you to be like, look, I'm not going to pay you John Cena because I did not pay Fred Schwartz, so I can't give you $100. Can't see it, but
But you know what is? I might make the argument saying that I don't pay guests. I would say, I'm sorry, it's my integrity, dude. If you don't want to come on, I gotta sleep at night, man. And I would tell the story to everybody, because the story would be fantastic. That John Cena wanted $100, and I refused to pay John Cena $100 because I don't pay guests. You know how much fucking respect I would get? I bet you WWE would call me up and be like, who do you want, man? Like, I guarantee you, so many people would be like, you're either really, really stupid, or you have such integrity that you don't pay any guest. And it doesn't matter how big they are, because you have to keep it openly and honestly and treat everybody equally, which is what I want to do. It's that there should be a base.
If the day comes when you're turning John Cena down, send him my way. I would love to hang out with him for $100 for an hour. I can definitely find out some shit to do with that. I would love to spend that time having him teach me how to do the Peacemaker dance properly. Like, I would really love that.
Great. It'd be great. Yeah.
$100 fucking discount.
Again. Ideally, I'm trying to get that card signed by him and then graded. That would be cool. That'd be like the which I think is.
Sorry, cool. I can't do it. You can't do it because it would cost $100. You've already priced yourself.
No. I don't mind. I don't mind paying for an autograph.
You were just talking about all your cred. You just lost all your cred.
An autograph is not the same as an interview. Those things are different, right? I have no problem paying for people's autographs.
Right.
I just have a problem paying for interviews. But I digress, because I want to talk about the Kickstarter.
Sure.
Going into this, because we touched upon it a little bit before, but I think it's interesting is that Kickstarters are stressful, right? For a variety of reasons. Obviously, you outlay a lot of money to do your book, and then you're kickstarting it, and it could be successful, it could fail, you got to promote it, you got to push it out, and it's a very stressful entity due to economics, and even just, for lack of wording here, begging people for money to some degree. I mean, is that a fair statement, or asking? We could go asking to be nicer, but you are having to ask people to say, hey, I got this project, could you back it directly and indirectly, right?
Yeah. So that's the couple interesting things that I want to say about that, right? Number one, what you said about it's very interesting that I remember, I believe it was Orson Welles, maybe not, I don't remember, but I think it might have been Orson Welles who said something like, I'm a writer by choice, I'm a director by defense, and I'm a producer by necessity. Basically, it's like his point was, in order to make the art, you have to wear a lot, you have to wear a lot of hats. So like the hard part about the Kickstarter is like wearing the hats that you don't want to wear. Like, and I don't mean that like not want to wear. You're not comfortable wearing. Like, Well, you know, the heat, we've been having heat issues today, so that's why I'm like dressed for winter. It's Florida and I'm dressed like this. But it's about it. Yeah, the thing is the challenge is wearing the hats that you're not comfortable wearing. Like I am very comfortable putting together a comic and like, you know, I'm very proud of Fisticuffs. I think it's a really good, really great comic. I think my team, everything, like I'm very comfortable expressing myself that way because like I trust myself in that environment. I had time to like, you know, whatever with it.
Is it a fair assumption, not to cut you off, is it a fair assumption that running a Kickstarter is a bitch?
Yeah, it's a bear.
I mean, because I was speaking with George Mendina, and he doesn't want to do a lot of Kickstarters every month. He does one. He did the issue, and then he's going to release the graphic novel on his website of the shameless plug. And he says, I can't be running like a Kickstarter for this thing for all 6 issues. It would kill me. Essentially, is what he was saying when I interviewed him like last week.
Yeah.
And I think because, frankly, I think it would be exhausting. I tried running a Kickstarter, and I found it exhausting. I found it exhausting every single fucking day.
Yeah. Here's the funny part of it, though, right? It is all of those things. It is exhausting. It is draining. It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. It's up. It's down. It's all this shit, right? But the more I'm doing it, and like I'm beat up right now. I mean, I've been telling people, and it's totally true. Like, you know, I wake up in the morning, my face looks like shit. I'm aging like Lincoln in the Civil War. You know, like I am like, you know, like it's not pretty. But the thing is, I'm realizing it, especially the last few, like I'm starting to realize that I love the madness is what I'm getting at. Like the last few days I spent going from like comic shop to comic shop in the area, dropping off promo stuff and like going in the shops, meeting people, doing this, talking with you and talking about my book and what it comes from. And so today I had an amazing experience, man. I was at a shop dropping off some promo stuff and I was, you know, they were restocking some issues and there was just a guy in the shop. It was just like, is that you? Is that your book? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And he's like, love it, man. You're still going with it, right? I'm like, oh yeah, you know, book ones. Like, you know, it was so funny. I recognized a wrestler in a mall the other day, and like I reacted kind of the same way, like excited and whatever. And to have somebody react that way to me over Fisticuffs is like totally flattering, and it makes like it makes the fact that like, you know, I got pain behind my eyeballs right now, and my neck hurts, and my lower back is a mess, and it makes all that shit like, you know, totally worth it because like you love the madness and I love feeling like connected to the history of it and stuff, like going in the comic shops and like seeing like, you know, pictures of Jack Kirby on the wall and stuff. And I'm like, you know, feeling like I'm doing, you know, I'm doing, you know, I'm a brick in that cathedral now, or I'm becoming a brick in that cathedral. It's cool. And it's exciting, but the actual grind of it is grinding, stress inducing.
Yeah, too political here, but obviously we are in a rough economic realm. I mean, we were speaking before we went live, and I don't think you're going to mind me talking a little bit about this, is that my eBay business is not going well, and I sell a lot of cards and comics, and it's slow right now, and it's been a little bit rough. It's been rough all year for a variety of reasons. You know, so certain things, cards just don't hit sometimes. Comics or whatever, bad girl art is really complicated in a lot of ways right now. There's an overabundance, but business is slow right now. It's partially due to this time of the year. Obviously, people, I think, are scared shitless, for lack of a better word, with their money. People have lost their jobs, laid off. People might not be getting their bonuses this year because a lot of shit's fucked up, and companies have already told that healthcare is increasing. So money right now is not the easiest thing to come across. And money is more expensive. And also, you know, it's a little depressing right now. It's winter, it's cold. I don't know how you feel, but I don't feel like spending money right now when it's starting to get cold and snowing and Thanksgiving is a week and a half away and we're entering the holiday season. Like, it's a little, you know, slow at the moment. And I'm trying to figure it cool, you know. I got to make sure everybody in my family has gifts, so maybe I'm not back in a Kickstarter or two.
Would they like Fisticuffs? Just kidding.
I don't think my niece who's 3 would like it.
No. I don't sell to the youngins. That's why it's 18 and up.
In a few years, maybe. Oh my God, that's so terrible. But like, so like that. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, because I was speaking to somebody, and I'm interviewing somebody tomorrow, and he's down like 100 backers, and he normally would be, and that's a lot. That's a lot. So like that's my whole thing, is that I'm curious how you feel about that, because I think right now the environment is really complicated. And I think there's a million things going on that are somewhat in control, but also out of control.
Yeah, a couple things about that, right? Number one, this is only my second Kickstarter, so I'm in a little bit of a different boat. I don't have the good times to compare it to, so I don't feel like I necessarily lost anything yet. It does sometimes, because you realize like some people are, not able to. Like I had a friend that, is not going to be able to help because they're helping. They themselves didn't lose their food assistance, but somebody close to them did, so they're helping them out instead. And I totally get that. That's 100%. I mean, that's what I would do too. And I recommend, I totally get that, and I'm with that. My position as a creator is I just don't have a choice. My goal. I'm gonna get to this goal one way or another, and to sit around, like, that's the thing, is like we don't, like, no, tomorrow's not guaranteed. We don't know that, like, I mean, I was wrestling with that, right? Like, a couple weeks ago I was like, should I launch now? When do I launch? A lot of people are going to get in before the holidays. There's Black Friday. There's a lot of bad times, to launch in, right? Like, this is a bad time to launch in general. So I was going to wait until the new year, but then I realized everybody else that's realizing this is a bad time is going to wait till then. There's always going to be something to contest and to go up against. So my logic is to just, get my machete out and like cut through the thicket. And like, yeah, it's hard on me sometimes. Like, I'm like, I would like to think that, some things would be going better. And like, that.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So my biggest issue is that I've run the numbers, right? I know exactly how much, if I was to produce a book for $4,500, 6 issues over 3 years, I know exactly how much it would cost. I know exactly an idea, give or take, within, 3 to 4 grand of numbers on it. It would be anywhere from 20 to 27,000, give or take.
For how much? For one issue? 6 issues. Yeah.
And I've run it compared on an S&P 500 position and over 30 years. And I cannot conceptualize the economics in my head. That's the only reason why I don't create comics, is that I've looked at the numbers and it's too much. I just don't see how the fuck I can justify that economic expenditure and the amount of money that I would give up. Mm-hmm. I really cannot put it in my head. That's the only thing that's stopping me. Even with Kickstarter coming back, I don't see an exit in the business, right? And I'm one of those guys. It's the way my brain works. So that's my biggest issue. So this is what makes me a bad creator. Yes. Is that I'm too business oriented. I'm a CFO. Mm-hmm. I'm not a chief content creator officer, whatever that is, a CCO or whatever mm-hmm. it is. That is not what I am. I'm too much of a numbers guy. But you stated something that you have to do this.
Yeah.
And so at that point, this is where I guess we differ in how we think. I cannot justify spending $27,000 over 3 or 4 years to produce 6 issues, because I know exactly how much money, and then money is millions of dollars. It's millions of dollars. It's about $2.2 million to $2.3 million in an S&P. So if you took that $2,700 over 4 years, and put it into an S&P 500 fund, gathering 11% a year over 30 years, it's about $2.3 million.
Great. So like you said, we have different brains, because I don't even know such a thing exists. And that's the thing, right? It's like, I saw, and this is different people, use.
I just can't, I can't get there. Right. Like this is why I find it so interesting that you have to do it, right?
Have to.
It's like I can understand the drive to do something, right? Mm-hmm. I like interviewing, right? But the cost to interview is $45 a month, right? For me, that's like nothing in reality. I mean, that's like, I wish that I have to interview, but I don't have to make a comic,
right?
And like that's what I think is so fascinating, is when you have to do something, right?
Well, and also too, like, let's not get things wrong. I also get to do this too. I live at home with my dad. I mean, I sold a lot of stuff and I put up a lot of capital too, but I got help along the way. Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. Like I was born in the United States. There's no greater like lottery ticket in the world than being
you
born in
started
this
on
country.
third base. If you're born
Exactly.
in America, give or
Yeah.
take,
So,
and not to get too mean, I want to make this crystal clear. If you're born in America, no matter how bad your life is, you're born on second or third base.
well, there's degrees, but I mean, there's some bad, but yeah, being born in America is better than being born most places in the world.
Yes, yes. You have a better chance to do this in America than in the Congo.
That's 100% right. And also too, right? So again, it's about who we are, right? Like this is why do I have to do this? Because this is who I am. I grew up in a middle class family, and I was left to grow up in front of a TV. So my identity, kind of the way, I guess, oh man, I kind of see how now maybe how like people, adopt religion, right? It becomes their tradition and it becomes their like, their daily whatever. My everything was pop culture and movies and stuff, of that nature, right? Like I learned my I didn't have the 10 commandments. I learned with when great power comes great responsibility. Like my moral center comes from comics. It's a history that I want to be a part of. So to me, that's where my purpose comes from.
I want to ask you a question. How did you learn how to read?
How did I learn how to?
So how did you learn how to read? Because I'll tell you how I learned how to read after you tell me how you learned how to read.
So my reading. So you want? My reading is a bit of a story. I'm going to go. I'll try to condense it quick as possible. Right. I mean, I guess I started reading, like I did when like any kid, in school. But I learned in comics. Comics was my escape. That's where I read. But when I was in college, I took a like an aptitude type test. I scored very well in writing, very well in math. My worst subject was reading comprehension because my brain is, I'm bipolar. I'm very tangentially brained. I can't read prose the way normal people can. It made learning very hard for me. I can learn very well from documentaries now. I've learned to love history and stuff. But when I was growing up, I couldn't because I would just read stuff. There was no inflection in the text. So I couldn't determine what was important and what wasn't. I would read something and I would be like, assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay, assassination. Oh, like the Punisher did last month. I wasn't paying attention to that. I would go on a tangent, right? So I couldn't read without comics because comics allowed me that. Like, where did I go? Oh, I can go back to the page. Okay, Cyclops is.
The reason why I bring this up is that I was a slow reader initially, and I'm a good reader now, right?
Yeah.
And what happened to me is that I discovered manga. And I was reading all this manga stuff at a young age. And what started happening is that I started reading manga. I started reading big books. And then I was tearing through like 700-800 page books, right? Mm-hmm. So what happened to me is that it wasn't comics that really taught me how to read and got my reading comprehension up. It was me reading all this manga stuff and playing Pokemon, like Red and stuff. Like, and it sounds crazy, right? But this is where we go into pop culture. This is why I bring it up. And this is why I'm curious, because what I find is that people who learn how to read from things like manga and learn how to read from comics and learn how to read from video games, they tend to think differently than if you learned how to read traditionally. And, I mean, I'm an avid reader, right? Mm-hmm. I'm probably reading 2-3 books, on a lot of topics. Some of it is just like a hard-boiled crime book of like a guy's just whacking another guy. I love it. It's great. But like, and my favorite stuff is reading Parker novels. But like, because I just love it, like, hey, it's fun, easy, it's a heist, right? But like the point is that, but then I'll also read something really technical. But like that's what I find this so interesting. That's why I asked the question is that because what I find is people who read and learn how to read in very different ways than are the traditional tend to think differently.
And the thing that you say about the think differently is very on because I, again, a little bit, 40s, right? A little bit older.
I'm 32.
Well, still, but I think manga became more, it grew out a little bit more. It grew out behind me. And then like, it became really big now. And I was going to say, the thing that I really find interesting is, I've got, a few local comic shops have book clubs and stuff. And I've stopped into some like manga book clubs and you talk to the people that read them and like, are really into them. And they tend to have a more like Eastern philosophy about like life and about like, about identity and character and stuff than, people that of my generation. Like Fisticuffs is very much like, somebody that grew up reading like 80s and 90s comics and stuff. Like you can see that influence in there and stuff. And that's why I like those kinds of like comics, because I felt like stuff like Watchmen and Preacher and stuff as like a young person, they made me feel more adult and sophisticated, you know? So, you know, all these things that we don't realize or whatever that are like, you know, we're doing and that are, you know, experiencing as we're kids eventually become our identity. So that's why, like, when I write stuff like this, it comes very naturally to me. Like, I got another one that's coming up after Fisticuffs that I think you're going to like very much as well. And it's the same type of like sensibilities and humors. You know, it's the same. But what I like to do with that kind of stuff is, and again, this is my like nerdy rant. And if you've seen me on another show, I may have gotten into this before, but I like to call my writing elevated smut. Okay, right? Like if you go to like a fancy burger place and order a burger, you know, they'll bring you a brioche bun with a Wagyu patty and some truffle oil and you know, Gouda, right? It's still a burger, but it's you know, it's elevated, right? So like I try to give you like that smutty, vulgar, you know, shit that you would get somewhere else, but also try to put in some character and some purpose and some stuff in it, so that like, again, I'm really not trying to be messagey and preachery and stuff, like not at all. Like that's not what Fisticuffs is. Like most people are going to read this and just be like, man, that was fucking awesome and shit. But there is enough in there that if you really want to dig into it, like your, you know, like your thoughtful questions have kind of shown, you know, that like, you know, it's there for people to pick up on. But if you just want the other shit, like, you know, we have, you know, people tearing people. Yeah, it's just, it's there.
Again, when I used to do financial shows, I just gave it to people raw, right? And I said, look, if you take $500 every single month and put into an S&P 500 fund, you're not going to be a billionaire, but you're going to be all right in life. And then, and you can't time the market, so don't even fucking try. Like, just $500. You know, you have 10% of your income up to $6,000 into the S&P 500 over 30 years. You're going to be just fine. You're not going to be poor in America. You're going to be able to retire with dignity and be free, and you know, you're going to be okay.
I'm not going to retire with dignity. No.
No. You understand what I'm saying, right? Meaning that you know, you get where I'm going with this, right?
I do.
Like, but when I used to do this, I give it to people straight. I say, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. If and this is the thing too, is that I say to people all the time, if you ask me what I think of your book, I'm going to tell you what I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not going to hold back. And if your book sucks, you know, I'm going to tell you. So don't ask. Don't ask me if you want my opinion on something. And I mean, I've also said to people, that cover fucking sucked, dude. Mm-hmm. Like cover C was great. Cover B was a piece of shit. And I'm sorry that you paid $1,000 for it, but you got robbed. Like I said that to people too. Yeah. I'm not going to say whose book I said that to, but I said, the book's not the problem. That cover B sucks. Like, and it was an artist I like too. And I said, I don't know how you booked that shit, man, but like, you got to fix it. Like, you got to get your money back. Like, that was bad. Like, not
$1,000 cover. Was it really $1,000?
It was maybe like $700. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you were doing, man. I don't know what the fuck you were thinking with that. I don't know what he was thinking, that artist, but dude, what the fuck? Like, I know exactly how much people spend.
Yeah, well,
I know everything, right? I know everybody's fucking prices because I'm a numbers guy. It's not hard to figure this out. It's really not. I don't do comics. So I'm too much of a numbers guy.
Yeah. I get that. Like, and that's
reading. Let me explain what I do for fun, right? I read K99 reports and like K10 reports and like dividend reports, and like I read like K16 reports, which are stock forms, and like and I read like the transcripts that these companies have that are like 42 pages, and I'm like, man, this is fun. Like, now, granted, I own some of these companies, and I want to know what the fuck's going on with them because I have a decent amount of money in them. But I'm like, man, this is fucking fun. You ever go on one of these conference calls and you can't even speak, but you're like, oh shit, like it's enjoyable. Like I took 45 minutes when I used to, before I got laid off from my job, and that was like my lunch break. I'm like, yeah, like
Like, here's our paperwork. Yes.
This is better than porn. Fuck yeah. Like, that's what it is for me. So so I just find it interesting. I find this whole thing interesting. Like, you gotta do it. Like,
yeah. That's, I mean, look,
I wish I could be like you. I really do. I seriously wish that I could be like, I gotta fucking do this comic. Fucking, I don't care.
And I'm sure when you go to the ATM, and if I were to see that, I wish I could be like you. It's you know what it is. Like I keep saying this, right? Like, we all look up to who we, our idols and stuff. And like you talk about, like, you like to read spreadsheets for fun. I like to watch documentaries about, like, history of, projects and comics and films and just history in general and stuff. But, like, I love, like, one of my favorite things is, like, like the, what I call, like, the put yourself on a plate project, Kevin Smith with Clerks, Martin Scorsese with Mean Streets, just kind of, like, figure out who you are, write a story that you can do, that shoot your shot and see what happens, right? Like, I mean, when Fisticuffs is done, I don't want to say I can die happy, I'll never be happy, but I just, I can die feeling like I did at least one thing that I'm really proud of, and, like, purposefully, like, that I set out to do, and like I believe in, like, I can't imagine.
Maybe this is a I'm thinking, like, you talk about putting yourself on a plate, right? So I would say in the last 500 interviews that I've done, like, you what you see on air is what you get out of me in life. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna drop an F-bomb in the middle of a conversation with my boss, right? My job, but, like, I'm pretty straightforward. Like, what you see on air is what you get. I mean, not all of it. There's stuff that's, obviously, we all have private lives, but the majority of how I think, I mean, my politics are well known. I mean, but everybody has an idea of how I think, right? But nobody knows the exact parameters of how I think. But it's pretty evident that I'm a financial guy, and that I like looking at my money, and I like investing, and I want to be left alone. I mean, it's not hard to figure out where I stand on things. Right. But there's no secrets. Like, if you see me at a convention, like, this is how I act in life. Yeah. So, yeah, like,
I'm pretty much this weirdo as well. Like, in all situations, like, I don't. Yeah, it's the idea. When I say, like, put yourself on the plate, I mean, like, from an artistic, like, doing, like, one project that you're. Well, no.
Maybe I'm spoiled because maybe I don't need to go create a comic book. And I'm being very honest when I say this, is that I feel that I get enough self-expression out of this show, right? And even when I do my big boy card collecting stuff, I talk about cards, you get to see my personality, me talking about cards, you get to see the love I have for cards. And like that's just a labor of love, right? I love sharing it. I'm buying the cards anyway, so why not share it with everybody and talk about it and provide the education and be like, oh shit, you opened up a 101, right? Because those reactions are fun when people see that, right? And people love it, and people live vicariously through other people, because I do too, with rare cards. And so but like for me, I guess that's how I feel, is that I get to express myself, and it's relatively cheap to do it, and I get to have a great time. And, well, I'm speaking to my idols and the people that I look up to, and I get them to have on my show. So, like, that's how it is for me. Yeah. But I don't want to do a comic, because I feel like I'm fulfilled with this. And but not everybody wants to interview somebody or have an on live stream.
Well, again, very much the same theme that we're talking about, right? It's like it's the or that I keep going back to. It's like how we grew up, and who, like, the time we grew up in, whatever, right? Like, I'm very much the person I am because of the times that I grew up, right? Where, if I was born like 10 years later, I may not be doing comics. I may be doing manga. I may not be doing comics or whatever. I may be doing video games, or I may be doing something live streaming or something, whatever. But I grew up in a time where like the dominant technology was like movies and blockbuster video. I tell my friends all the time, we probably grew up in like the best era for that type of thing was, because, it was the right mix of like, tradition and technology kind of coming together. We had probably arguably like maybe the best class of filmmakers active at the time, between like Spielberg, Scorsese, eventually Tarantino, Cameron. Like there're just so many powerhouse, Bigelow, like so many people making just such awesome work over and over again. So I was very much a movie guy, and then comics went hand in hand with that too, same type of thing. So that was like, the kind of like world that I wanted to be a part of. And that was kind of like the language that I learned. It's like, like when we're kids, we learn, we may learn, Spanish later. Like I could probably do probably learn how to do a live stream, or if I spent the next 15 to 20 years of my life, I might learn how to play a video game halfway decently and do something with that. But, I grew up in an era where like my media was comics and movies. So I expressed myself in scripts and screenplays and visual, the marriage of like words and pictures.
Fair enough. No, I find it fascinating, right? I mean, again, I just like watching my money grow, and like there's nothing like it. Like it's so slow, and then when you see it just go month after month, and it just goes up like a J curve, you're like, holy fuck, how did I get here? Like, but
I like to see my money grow too, but it's just like it just doesn't. I wouldn't know about a J curve. It's like a little, and then it goes, and then it goes. Like it's not. It's nice to see your money grow too, but like that's not the. I don't know. That's not my.
Raven Gregory said it to me. He said, "You're one of those guys that likes to reverse engineer shit, and you're one of those guys that just like it's a game to you, man. It's just a game to you, and,
right?"
And like I think he said it as a compliment and kind of a jab at the same time. And I love Raven from Zenoscope.
Yeah, I know.
So Raven's a great writer. Definitely sick and twisted writer for sure. Is a good way how to describe Raven Gregory. And I don't think that there's anything, I don't think that some people are just really good at writing that way.
Yeah.
But I digress. But no, I find it fascinating. I find it so fascinating because again, I'm not like the rest of you. Like that's the problem. Is
in terms of like the sick and twisted, like Raven, I also write sick and twisted because that's the same language I learned. Like Tarantino and Garth Ennis and all that shit. It's if I'd grown up in a in the
what's your favorite sick and twisted book?
Favorite?
I got two.
I have one that I love and I recommend all the time to people. The Pro.
That's good.
I love the Pro.
My go-to is the Virgin Suicides.
The book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think we're talking comics. Comics I like. In books, there's a book one that I read recently that really got under my skin. Tender is the Flesh.
I don't know that one.
It's so unsettling. Like if I would love to be the guy that gets to make that into a movie, but it is so unsettling and such a dark concept that I don't think anybody would make that into a movie.
There's some good ones. There's some really good ones.
But for comics, I just want to take a second and recommend The Pro to anybody out there that hasn't. It's written by Garth Ennis, art by Amanda Connor. It's like the boy's sensibility, but the theme that I love, again, in some ways it kind of elevated smutty, right? It's like it's that, but it's like it's a wonderful life theme, right? It's like the idea that like anybody given an opportunity has the potential for
comics for me is Bang Tango.
I don't think I read that one.
Joe Kelly, Adrian Sabar.
What is it called?
Bang Tango.
Bang Tango. Okay.
The concept of it is the following, right? Is that a guy is in a gang, a hit goes wrong, and people die. He flees to California, and he's now dating a girl, and he's great. His ex-girlfriend is a trans woman, and then she is out for revenge, and the gang from New York is on his trail. And let's just say that there's some twists, turns, some interesting setups, and the ending to that book is pretty fucked up.
I'm going to make a note of it right now.
It's 6 issues. It's 6 issues. And my favorite thing that they did in there is that there's a dance scene. And this is not anything relevant to the story, but what they do is that they have the musical notes of the song and the bars going around the characters as they're dancing in the panels. Brilliant
Sounds
scene
cool.
on an artistic level, but the musical sheet, when you look at the musical sheet and you put it into, like, you look up the song, it's accurate. So
Really?
it's a real song.
So you can like play it from you can use the comic book as sheet music.
Kind of. I mean, it's a little hard, but it's brilliant art because
Cool.
it's such a cool visual effect, but it's a sick book. It's a sick book because it's not sick in the sense that it's not a violent book, right? But the ending is really fucked up.
All right. I'll give it a check. I'll check it out.
Brilliant book. Brilliant book. One of my favorite books in comics. And it was like Vertigo, maybe like early 2000s.
Okay.
Really, really well done, but
yeah.
Didn't get enough attention. But I digress. Obviously, we got rewards. You got pretty much anything books. Book 1 cover A, book 2 cover A. You got, I think, 3 covers for this one. You know, Kiss Kiss Creative, who apparently is a friend on Facebook of mine, or is it Creative Kiss Kiss, or I forget?
Yeah, Create Kiss Kiss.
Yeah,
they're amazing. I love working with them. Such an amazing collaborator.
A tangent is that I said, "Who the fuck are you?" And when they decided to friend me on Facebook, because when people sometimes friend me on Facebook, what happens is that they're trying to get me to book them as an artist.
Okay.
And so I'm very, very hesitant now to accept friends because a lot of these people are trying to find work.
Kiss Kiss is great people. Kiss Kiss is
no. We had a conversation.
Yeah.
They understood immediately that I wasn't trying to be a dick, right? I was saying, look, like, who are you? What's the deal? I said, you follow some of the people I know. I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, I gotta know if you're looking for work or you just.
Well, if you're not trying to be a dick, maybe leave the F word out.
I mean, I didn't say it that way. I said, hey, you know, well, you get what you get.
I thought you said, who the fuck are you? And that's why I'm like, oh, that's really harsh to my friend.
Like, I didn't say it that way. I said, like,
that's how I took it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I purposely a little over exaggerated, but
right.
No. I said, like, who are you? Because it's an important question. Because unfortunately, what happens, and this has happened to me, is that people have people, and then they're friends with like 6 people, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, I've never heard of you before, and I understand that great, you're friends with so and so, but like, you don't seem like you know these people.
I have a solution for you. These people request you, and you're like suspect of them. Charge them $100 to be your friend.
No. We wound up having a conversation. I sent them, a bunch of my interviews, and I said, hey, when you got some for me, feel free to reach out if you want an interview. But like, I ask questions now because it's just a professional hazard. Yeah, especially when it looks a little funky, right? When somebody has a name that doesn't look like a traditional name and it looks like an artist name, I want to kind of know a little bit more before I accept you as my friend. I think it's a fair position, right? Because
I mean, there's like so many bots and AI and stuff. Again, I'm old man again, old man Fred here, and old man Fred just accepts anybody for the most part, unless like there's like, I mean, not really. Like I mean, if there's like a decent amount of mutual friends, especially certain people, like if I see somebody I highly.
I'll put it this way, right? I don't know if you've gotten this scam. Have you ever gotten a scam where somebody's like trying to sell you like a financial product through Facebook? Because I get those.
A what?
A financial product through Facebook.
Yeah, I stop pretty quickly with those and just move on. You know what I do? I text to my bank account. They're like, "Oh, finances, never mind."
So, because I had my Instagram account hacked, like there's some weird.
Oh, I got you.
So I'm a little bit more sensitive. Bit more sensitive than maybe.
I don't talk to new people. New people don't want to talk to me. I have my friends, and I.
But,
But
but, but the point is that I just thought it was a funny story because that person is fun, and obviously, but I wasn't trying to be a dick, but professional hazards, right?
yes, yes.
But you got, I think they did cover B, right?
B
And
and
then
C, they are just like, they gave me so many, like, in exchange for a T-shirt. I only have to pay them with a T-shirt when I get the new batch of T-shirts in for this campaign. But sent me, like, I think 6 or 7 like sketch variants of the cover. So we're doing the one at which is like I love a lot, the black and green one with the like iridescent colors.
let's talk about
That's
that.
going to be only for the Kickstarter campaign, so you can only get it here. Once that's done, I'm vaulting it, and I'm never printing anymore. So if you want that,
let's talk about that. So what is the deal with that? So obviously, is it going to be print to order?
absolutely.
And then what is it going to be, like 5 extra for damages?
Probably. I had the printer I worked with last time was pretty good about damage, like damaged content and stuff. Like when I had some damaged content, they fixed them for me. No charge, free of charge. So I didn't even think about that, asking for 5. See, because I'm not a money guy like you. But no, I'm just going to print them to order. My printer that I used last time does print to order. And then I'm just going to lock it up and throw away the key. And, it's a one of a and the other thing that is really interesting about it, for those of you that believe in Fisticuffs and believe in Kiss Kiss, we're doing a remark option as well. So you can actually get either version of the covers that Kiss Kiss does. We will send them to Kiss Kiss, and they will draw like a one-of-a-kind sketch on it for you, send it back to us, and you'll be getting that. So you'll have a one-of-a-kind copy of a limited copy, so that it will, so my friend here, it's like a John Cena sock. It will appreciate over time.
No, because I think it's interesting when you vault things.
Yeah.
I like limited runs personally. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything at this point in society is relatively limited. It's just how much of a limit are you going to have? Is it going to be 40,000 or is it going to be 400? Is the discussion. But like, what is that like? Because to a degree, you're limiting, because if you were to print 100 of these, right, and then you had 30 left over, you could sell them at cons. But at the same time, you're also saying, look, there's a reason to back the campaign, and you're protecting value to some degree, or not even value, but exclusivity.
Yeah.
Because because there's something to be said about that too, right? It's kind of like honesty, right, and trust. Is that if I know that, let's say the book doesn't go up in value, but we only know there's 70 of these, right, in the world. Right. There is something to be said that I'm in a club of 70.
Exactly.
So, tabling money, it's kind of nice when you're just in a club of 70 people. Mm-hmm. I just bought a comic. There's only 5 of them in the world.
Really? What comic?
It's the Archie Kid Cudi book that came out by Stadium Comics in Canada.
Okay. There's only 5 of them?
Yeah, there's only 5 of these.
Wow.
So it's Moon Man 2. I'm not even a Kid Cudi fan. I just like the fact that there's only 5 of them. Yeah. It wasn't even expensive. It was like $60 for like.
Well, that's what you said is 100% true. It's about like exclusivity and value, and also, like you said, integrity, right? Like I'm not about like short money, right? Like I want to make comics and make comics for the long term. So what I want to, like you said, do it, vault it, done, never release it again. And the people that have that, like you said, have that thing that has hopefully, value, cash value, some kind of like sentiment and exclusivity, like you said. And also like, not for nothing, but like, this book, has like a pretty, awesome team on it. Like all people involved, like taking myself out of the equation. Like, I think, there's a great chance that like Kiss Kiss or Stan or, both of them can be like, the next superstar artist. Like, I think they're both super talented. Stan, the interior artist, of course. The colorists, that we work with, we have Timothy Brown now, who's, done some phenomenal, projects. We have Robert and Nay on the cover, who, Nay Ruffino, who, are both established great talent. So, like, there's a good chance that, this could hit. And even if it doesn't, you get like an amazing, beautiful piece with a one-of-a-kind, beautiful sketch on it. And it's just something that, have in the hold and enjoy. I think they're great. I would love to get one for myself, but even if I did get one for myself, I would do it the right way and I would back it, you know, because I'm a nerd, man. I don't like, you know, breaking rules and lying and shit. So like, I'm not even gonna.
I would have done it so differently, right?
I'm not even gonna keep one for unless, you know what? Maybe I will keep one for myself because they will send me a proof copy when I do it. So maybe I'll keep the proof copy for myself. But like,
see, what I would do is that
sell it 10 years later when they're valuable. No, I don't do that.
Here's what I would do. I would do the following is that, and I don't think it's rule breaking. I would print an extra 3 and I would archive them. Right. And hear me out on this. Right. So you at some point, I think companies should archive their work. Right. Because all of a sudden, if you then have the book or there's a movie or something, forget about selling it. It's good to have an archive of your whole thing. Right. So if you have 3 of them, you can archive it. And then now you have a small little archive of your whole work so that, you know, I don't know if you have nieces, nephews, cousins, or whatever, but at some point, you know, your legacy in physical media is preserved. And it's a weird thing to say it that way, but I think
it's weird to think of like my young niece and nephews one day being like, "Oh, Uncle's Fisticuffs, we love them." That's, I don't think that's gonna. But I hear what you're saying, like, you know, having a legacy to leave behind.
I think it's important to have an archive of some of your work.
Well, I do of my work. I'm maybe just not that cover, right? Maybe the backup cover. I just want to, you know, I think of it as I'm trying to do something cool for others, right? Like, I want other people to enjoy this the way I enjoy collectibility. I bought my first slab book today. Like, I've never bought a slab book before, and it's really cool to have one and stuff. Like, I like that collectability feel. I would like to do that for somebody else and create something cool for them that they can enjoy and feel that cool.
That's the thing, though, is that I think you should be selfish a little bit, okay? So I have positions, right? It's okay to break rules if every once in a while, because nobody's going to ever fucking call out, oh, man, there was 70 ordered and he printed 71. He kept one for himself. Nobody in their right mind in comics is going to say, oh, Fred's a bad man. He's a bad man.
This is the problem with the world, right? Selfish and rich versus noble and poor. Like, you know, choose red pill, blue pill. Do you want to be selfish and rich or noble and poor? I mean,
this is not being selfish and rich. This is just.
I'm teasing, buddy. I'm teasing.
No, you know what it is? You're creating something, right? And if you spoil yourself, that's going to not affect anybody's value, right? This doesn't affect anybody's value of their book.
Maybe I'll get one. Maybe I'll get one from you.
I'm going to convince you. We should put out a poll on Twitter. That's what we should have done.
Go ahead. You know, I'll ask the back. You know what? Maybe I can do that with the backers. I'll be like, hey, you back this. Is it okay if I have one for myself? I'll do that. Maybe.
You should absolutely put that as a question in your survey. You should
watch them all come back and no.
And then you should put on the end of this, for an extra $1, you get an extra vote.
For an extra $100, you could be on Andrew's show and talk about it.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm telling you. So there was a product that backed, right? And what they did is that they said that the creator was going to get a tattoo. So you got to vote on the tattoo of one of the covers. Like, it was great, right? I mean, you had like, I think Jenny Ferguson. You had the tattoo of Jenny Ferguson's character on one of the covers. Awesome, right? Cool concept. For an extra $1, you got an extra vote. That was cool, right? But like, that's the fun shit, right?
So you want to hear something? Nick has a tattoo, and I was thinking about getting it myself. So maybe I can do something like that and like auction off where the placement is. Like, although nothing on the face. Cody Rhodes and below.
But like, I thought that was a great idea.
That is a great idea, selling a vote that way for $1.
So you got a free vote, but you got an extra vote if you want to
find out. Right.
That's fun though, right? Like,
yes.
So like that's what I would do, is that I would put this as a vote, right, on your survey, because I guarantee you're like, yeah, fuck, why would I deny? You know, this is not an issue, right? And then if like all of a sudden you have 3 or 4 things of tattoos, and you say, what tattoo would you like? You know, and then an extra $1, you get an extra vote. It's great, right? I mean, I think it's brilliant.
It's a good idea. That's the thing I like about doing this Kickstarter versus the last one is like I am starting to incorporate the fun stuff that I didn't know about and was too nervous to try last time. Limited cover and remarks are new to me, and I'm enjoying them so far. I did an early 48 hours bonus, with a Kiss print. That's new to me. So maybe tattoo placement or tattoo options could be for book 4, because that is the one with the tattoo in it. That's where we discussed the tattoo.
So again. I have philosophies. I like that fun. I again though. I mean, I'm not one to do this whole thing. I mean, this is not my cup of tea. I run my show the way I want to run my show. There's no viewer input in my show. I'm sorry. It's between me and my guests, and it's sacred territory. I am of the Howard Stern, Joe Rogan element. And that's just how I run it, right? It's not that I don't appreciate everybody watching. And I will answer your questions when I'm off air. I'm more than happy to do that and interact with you. But during like an interview, I just don't interact with my fans because there's no good reason, because this is our time.
Right. And also too, like I'd be thrown off my game when I saw all the comments about,
Mr. Hand.
Everything.
Our time, Mr. Hand. You're right, Spicoli.
That's right. I love Fast times. Yep.
One of my favorite covers is Archie being Spicoli at Fast Times, and Betty and Veronica are next to him, and that was like the cover that I forgot who did it. It might have been like 619 did it, or
are you an Archie guy? You're an Archie guy?
Oh yeah. I like Archie.
I want to read. I've heard of Archie Meets the Punisher.
I don't know that one.
Is that a real comic? I've heard that it exists.
It is. So there's Archie meets Star Trek, right?
Okay.
Archie meets Glee. Archie, that's great, right? So then
they should have the music notes.
Then you have Betty and Veronica, Red Sonja, and Vampirella. Archie, Betty and Veronica, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn.
When was that made?
Oh, I mean, this DC. This has been made with like everybody, right? Like that was so. You have Archie and Veronica, Red Sonja, Vampirella. You have Archie and Veronica, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn. You have Archie meets Star Trek. Archie meets Glee. What else did Archie meet? Like they met everything, right? I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Archie meets Kevin Smith.
Okay, that one I have to read. I mean, obviously you've heard my references. I'm a Kevin Smith guy. Yeah, I would love to read that
one. What else is there that Archie has met? I mean, but like obviously, I mean, and then there's all these just great Archie stuff. I mean, they did Uptown Girl Archie with Billy Joel, where you got the.
Is a song like they did a cover, like an Archie version
of the song on a cover, right? They've done Archie has done Grease on covers. They've done like I mean Dan Parrott has done all this shit, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that Archie was like that outgoing. He met everybody.
Craig Yo, who I mean I had Craig Yo sign my Archie book. So Craig Yo wrote the Archie, like the definitive Archie book.
Right.
A lot of the history, and I had Craig Yo sign it.
That's pretty cool.
So like at his house, because my mom knows Craig Yo, which is crazy. Right. But the point I'm making is that like there's all this crazy shit, right? That is absolutely fantastic. But I love Archie stuff. I mean, it's great. Like the death of Archie was awesome when he saved Senator Kevin Keller.
How did he die?
He got shot.
Like Captain America?
No, he didn't get like Captain America.
Yeah.
He got shot protecting Kevin Keller from an assassination attempt. Senator Kevin Keller.
Okay. So yeah, it sounds like that the image when you describe that is like Captain America getting like shot down on the footsteps of the building, from an assassin's bullet. That's exactly what like Archie gets a hero's death. That's awesome.
It was Life of Archie. It's great. Yeah. I mean, there's zombie Archie. Like Archie is fucking awesome. Now Jughead though is doing some extra things after school. Just ask Hopper X. He'll tell you the truth.
I remember.
That's one of the funniest scenes ever.
Archie is not fucking Mr. Weatherby.
I love chasing Amy. for every good reason. And my favorite scene is when, you know, Amy buys Holden a stupid picture of a seagull.
I still think actually I don't know. I think I love everything that Banky's just Jason Lee's delivery and Jason Lee and Kevin Smith movies is like like him as Brody, him as that, and him as Loki, or not Loki, as Azrael in Dogma. Like, I mean, he just was like, that was a match made in heaven. Like, everybody like thinks about Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith. I love Jason Lee.
Was Jason Lee in My Name Is Earl?
Yes, he was Earl.
Yeah. He was Earl, right? I thought he was Earl.
He was great in that show. That show was really good for a while. I stopped watching it after like 2 or 3 seasons, but the beginning season was really good. What?
You see Clerks too?
And 3.
What? Right? All right. Was it?
Oh yeah. Pickle guy.
Pickle fucker.
I didn't. You say it. I don't know. Yeah, that's great. And he was great at that too. I mean, again, like I love Jason Lee, man. I'm a big fan.
And then he was in Mallrats, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Mallrats, he's great in, and then you've seen Dogma, right? Like that's one of my favorites of him. Yeah, he's great in that.
I used to go to Kevin Smith's shop in Jersey all the time too.
Me too. They had my first comic there for a little while.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love Red Bank. I should have bought property in Red Bank. Like that was a mistake.
You know, I'm really upset that I've moved and I haven't been back to New Jersey since they moved the store and renovated it because it looks really awesome now. I've seen like photos, but I love the old store. You know, the one that's in Comic Book Men. Like it you walk through, it's like a museum to his stuff. The first time I went, they actually had the Blunkmobile from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back in the middle of the store. It was insane.
That's crazy.
The last time I went, I remember they had the walrus from Tusk on the ceiling. What the fuck?
I mean, I bought some good stuff from that store. I mean, obviously, it's not a local shop for me. It's like 90 miles when I was in New York.
Yeah.
But it was great. I love it. Great store. Awesome concept. Great place, Red Bank. But I digress. But obviously, we've been speaking for almost 2 hours, so I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, and all sorts of cool stuff?
Absolutely. So my name is Fred Schwartz, and I am promoting Fisticuffs on Kickstarter. You can find us at www.schwartzart-llc.com. Schwartz spelled like my last name, art, and that's all one word, then -llc.com. You can find me at Schwartz Art LLC on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, X, Facebook, and all these socials. And our Kickstarter is live, so please check us out on any of those. As I said, this is a deeply personal, deeply important book. Fisticuffs is about a functional drunk whose comfortable life derails when a one-night stand has deadly consequences. It is in the vein of The Boys, Preacher, and those types of hard stories. But it's with a bit of, deeply personal storytelling and some heart as well. So please consider backing us sooner rather than later, because I would love to get some sleep one of these nights. So if we can just get over that threshold, maybe these bags will, go away a little bit and I can look like a person. But thank you for your time. And thank you, Andrew, for, having me and, asking a bunch of great questions.
Yeah, no problem. And then obviously I'm going to promote myself. Obviously I am Pop Anime Comics on the Twitter/X. I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. Means a lot if you subscribe on YouTube. It's free and it means a lot. It's the least everybody can do. Seriously, because it helps. It helps a lot more than people realize. And my viewership is that like 80% of you don't subscribe, but you watch my shit. So please subscribe. It would make my heart melt like the Grinch and grow 2 sizes bigger. But all jokes aside, obviously YouTube is Pop Anime Comics. TikTok is Pop Anime Comics. I am on Rumble, which is Pop Anime Comics, in case you didn't figure that out. Because why not? And so please subscribe to all those places. And then furthermore, I am Pop Anime Comics Collectibles on eBay, and I do carry a lot of cool stuff. So this is my eBay store. look for Comics and Collectibles, come shop with us on eBay at Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I carry stuff like this in my store, which are books like this. I carry books like this in my store. I have all 15 of these. I have all 15 of these. I also carry stuff like this in my store, which is very cool. I don't know if anybody knew this, but apparently something magical happened last night. I don't know how he did it, but he is the 35th Triple Crown champion now, or I think a Triple Crown champion. And in the same night, which I don't know how you do it, and it might be the first time in WWE history, he's also a Grand Slam champion. So God bless John Cena. He did it almost simultaneously. I mean, it's a miracle how he did it. And it's really interesting because I couldn't see him through halfway through the match. So how did he do it? I don't know. Very confused. But all jokes aside, obviously this is a limited 199 card. So super, super cool card in that regard. And then I do carry sketch cards like this in my store. I carry stuff like this in my store. So you name it, I carry it in cards, comments, all that stuff. And if you don't see it in my store, please shoot me a message on eBay because I may have it. If I do, I'll list it for you and I'll happily sell you whatever you need. If I don't have it, it might not exist. If it doesn't exist, I'll tell you. But if it does exist and I don't have it, I know somebody who does. And I'm always happy to direct people to, the right people so they get the things they want in their collection. So that's everything I got. Again, you just type in Pop Anime Comics, you're going to find me in every instance of everything I do. So that's everything that I got going on. And so thank you everybody for watching. And I'm going to give you the final word.
Excelsior. No, wait, somebody else uses that. $100.
Okay, then. On that note, everybody, that is a wrap.